You just got paid. Not a bank transfer, not a number on a screen. You are an unskilled factory hand. No trade, no special skill, just your body and your hours. 10 silver shillings, heavier than you expected, cold, each coin worn soft at the edges, as though it's already lived harder than you have. This is your entire week. 60 hours of labour, 6 days of dust and heat, and trying not to fall behind the man beside you, now compressed into 10 small circles of metal. Hold them tighter, because in 1850 London, everything is already trying to take them from you. Look around you. You are standing in the richest city the world has ever seen. The British Empire stretches across continents. Ships arrive every hour. Cotton, tea, spices, and wealth beyond imagination. A short walk away, gentlemen in polished boots step into carriages, debating investments and exhibitions. Next year, the great exhibition will open. Glass, steel, progress, the future. But you are not part of that future. You are standing in its shadow. St. Paul's rises above the rooftops, eternal, solid, untouchable. Down here on the street, nothing is stable. Everything costs something. Every hour of warmth, every bite of food, every moment of rest, even survival, is rented. You feel something dangerous, relief. You have money. You're not destitute, not yet. For a moment, you feel safe. That feeling won't last. Because here is what no one tells you. Getting paid is not the end of your struggle. It is the beginning of a countdown. In this city, money doesn't rest. It leaks. It vanishes in quiet, invisible ways. A coin here, a penny there, a necessity, a mistake, a moment of weakness. And before you've noticed, it's gone. So tonight, you are not watching history. You are living it. 1 week, 10 shillings. One question. How long until the city takes it all back? Monday morning. The sun hasn't broken through the London fog, and you're already in debt. Before you eat, before you drink, before you even begin to think about this week, you must pay for the right to sleep indoors. He's waiting. The landlord doesn't knock, doesn't smile, doesn't need to. He already knows how this ends. London is growing faster than any city in history. People pour in from the countryside, labourers, families, anyone fleeing hunger for the promise of work. And the city has no room for them, so it makes room by stacking people on top of each other. Your home is in Spitalfields, a rookery, a maze of narrow alleys and crumbling buildings so tightly packed that sunlight barely reaches the ground. The air smells of damp wood and sewage and something sour that never quite leaves. Inside, it's worse. You don't have a room, you have a corner, a piece of floor in an attic shared with strangers. The ceiling slopes too low to stand. Black mould streaks the walls. The cracked window is stuffed with rags. But the cold gets through anyway. It always gets through. No running water, no heat, no privacy. 30 people share one privy in the yard below, and for this, 4 shillings a week. You're holding 10 shillings. Before your day has started, 40% is gone. The landlord opens his book. He doesn't look at you. He looks at the page, your name, a blank space beside it, waiting. You place 4 shillings into his hand. He marks the entry. That is all. No receipt, no protection, no guarantee. If the roof gives way tonight, that's your problem. You walk downstairs, Reach into your pocket. Count. 6 shillings. You haven't eaten, haven't warmed yourself, haven't even started living this week, and already you are halfway to broke. The first rule of Victorian London: home is not safety. Home is a bill. And if you can't pay it, the street is waiting. Tuesday morning. You wake up hungry. Not the hunger that comes and goes. This is deeper. It sits behind your ribs, slowly tightening. You didn't eat enough yesterday. You couldn't. After rent you put it off. But hunger doesn't disappear. It waits. You step into the street market. This is where the city feeds itself, or pretends to. Bread is everything here, but this is not the bread you're imagining, not warm, not soft, not nourishing. The loaf before you is pale, too pale, because it isn't just flour. To make it look whiter, bakers mix in alum. To make it heavier, chalk, sometimes plaster, things your body doesn't understand, but you buy it anyway, because it's cheap, because it fills something, because you have no choice. A week's food, calculated not for pleasure, but for survival. A week's bread, roughly 1.5 shillings. Hard cheese, 6pence. Potatoes, 6pence. Tea, if you can call it that, 6pence. 3 shillings. Gone. 6 became 3, just like that. And it's only Tuesday. The smell reaches you before you see it. Hot food, real food. A man selling eel stew, steam rising into the cold, thick, salty, alive. Beside him, meat pies, golden and glistening. You stop walking. 1 penny. That's all. Your mouth waters. Your hands almost move. But 1 penny today means 1 meal missing later. 1 moment of comfort traded for future pain. So you walk away. Dry bread, cold potatoes, weak tea. This is what survival looks like. Not dramatic, not heroic. Just slow, quiet denial. But that night, you chew slowly, because eating slowly makes it last longer. The bread scratches your throat. The tea barely tastes of anything. But it's enough, not to live well, enough to continue. You count again, 3 shillings left. The second rule of Victorian London: you don't eat to live. You eat to avoid collapsing. Wednesday. The cold arrives quietly, not all at once. It seeps in, through wall cracks, through wet cloth, through the air itself. London is damp. Built on marshland, the Thames breathes moisture into everything. And the smoke, the endless smoke from factories and chimneys, traps it all. The result is a thick, oily fog. It clings to your skin. It enters your lungs. You breathe it in all day, and at night it follows you home. Inside, the cold is worse. There is no movement here, no work to distract you, no warmth. There's an iron grate in the corner. But the landlord doesn't provide fuel. Warmth, like everything else, is your responsibility. The coal seller measures it out, black stones, dusty and sharp-edged. He glances at the sky, then at you. Cold night coming. Price is up. Of course it is. A week's worth of warmth. 1.5 shillings. You have 3 shillings. Buy it, and you're left with almost nothing. Don't. And you sleep in damp clothes, wake up worse, and risk getting ill. And illness is not something you can afford. You compromise. Half the coal, 9pence, not comfort, just enough. That night you light the fire, small, weak. You sit too close, trying to steal every fraction of warmth. Your hands stop shaking. Your feet slowly feel something again. It doesn't last. Within the hour, the coal is gone. You're back in the cold, wrapped in a thin blanket, watching your breath hang in the air. The cold does something beyond the physical. It makes things feel sharper, more unjust, more vivid. Why does someone else have fires in every room while you count lumps of coal? You have no answer, only numbers. Balance, 2 shillings, 3p. The third rule of Victorian London. Warmth is not comfort. Warmth is survival. Thursday morning. You wake up coughing, not a passing cough. This one stays, deep, heavy, settled in your chest. Every breath feels slightly wrong. You sit there, listening to yourself breathe. You know what this means. In London, illness doesn't arrive suddenly. It builds, quietly, slowly, until one day it's too late. But you have no time for it. Today, you still have to work. There is no sick pay, no rest, no safety net. If you don't show up, someone else takes your place. There are always men waiting at the factory gates, hungry, desperate, willing to do your job for less. So you stand up, walk, work, even as your lungs burn, because stopping is not an option. At midday you pass a chemist's window, glass bottles, blue, green, gleaming with promises, cough elixir, restorative tonic, 4p. You know already, even if you bought it, it wouldn't cure you. It might dull the pain, make you feel distant, light, because inside those bottles, often opium, not medicine, escape. These so-called medicines were unregulated and in time outlawed, but in 1850 they sat openly on every chemist's shelf. But even escape costs money. You walk on. By day's end you are not tired, you are empty. Your body feels like it's being consumed faster than it can recover, a machine running past its limits, and you understand something unsettling. Your body isn't yours. It belongs to the system. While it produces, it has value. When it breaks, it will be replaced. That night you spend 1 penny on a cheap drink, not for pleasure, just to feel something different. Balance, 2 shillings, 2p. The fourth rule of Victorian London. You are not a person, you are a machine. And machines are built to wear out. Friday evening. Something changes in the air. The city softens, just slightly. Factory doors open, men file out, slower than they walked in, some laughing, some silent, some barely standing. And then you see it. The gin palace, blazing with light. Through the glass, gold, warmth, movement. Inside, mirrors multiply the gas lamps, polished brass gleams. For a moment, it doesn't look like London at all. A hand lands on your shoulder. Bill. 1 pint? Simple words. Heavy choice. You know the numbers. 2p. 2p could be bread, could be tomorrow. But 2p could also be this. Warmth, noise, voices that don't sound exhausted. You hesitate. Not because you don't want to go, because you understand what this really is. All week you've been surviving, counting, denying. But here, just for 1 hour, you could stop. So you go. The first sip burns, fast. Your shoulders drop, your thoughts slow. For the first time all week, you are not thinking about money. You're talking, laughing, listening. Someone mentions the Great Exhibition. Another swears he's leaving for Australia. Everyone believes something, because without belief, this city would be unbearable. The hour passes quickly, too quickly. You step back outside. London is waiting, cold, dark, quiet. The warmth disappears almost instantly. Now you feel something worse than hunger, regret. 2p, not for food, not for fuel. For a moment. And in your world, moments are expensive. Balance, 2 shillings. The 5th rule of Victorian London: survival is not enough, but anything beyond survival will cost you. Saturday. This is when the illusion breaks. All week you've been managing, adjusting, telling yourself you can make it. Now the numbers don't lie. You lay the coins out, go through everything. Rent, food, coal, 1 drink, 2 shillings left. That should be enough. It sounds like enough. Then you look down at your boots. The sole is loose, flapping slightly with each step. You'd noticed it before, told yourself it could wait. It can't. In London, boots are not clothing. They are survival. Without them, you can't walk to work. Without work, no wages. Without wages, nothing. The cobbler barely glances at the damage. 1 shilling. Of course. You do the arithmetic slowly, fix the boots, and you don't eat tomorrow. Eat, and you can't work Monday. There is no correct answer. There never was. You sit there longer than you should, hoping the numbers change. They don't. You hand over the coin, 1 shilling, gone. Balance, 1 shilling. And now you finally understand. You didn't fail. The arithmetic was broken before the week began. The 6th rule of Victorian London. No matter how careful you are, you still end at 0. Sunday. The city is quiet. Church bells ring across London, slow, distant. For some, it's a day of rest. For you, it's a day of waiting. You sit in your corner, no work, no noise, nothing to count but time. A few pennies left, enough for bread, not much else. You eat slowly, because stretching the meal out is the only control you have. Your hands are rougher than last week. Your cough is worse. Your body feels older. Your situation, exactly the same. You survived, but survival didn't move you forward. It only reset the clock. Tomorrow you're up at 5, back to the factory, another 60 hours. And next week they give you 10 shillings again, and again, and again. This is not a story, this is a loop. And the worst part, you can't see the exit, because there isn't one. This is the Victorian trap, not poverty, not laziness, structure, a system where you are always 1 step from nothing, where no matter how hard you work, you never get ahead, only slightly less behind. So when you picture the 19th century, the empire, the machines, the gleaming progress, remember this. Somewhere in the East End, a man is standing in the dark, holding 10 shillings, and realizing they were never enough. Not for comfort, not for safety, not even for escape. So let me ask you something. If you were here, with 10 shillings, how long would you last? A week? 2? Or would you end up exactly the same? Working, paying, surviving, until the system takes everything back? Because in this city, it always does. You didn't go broke because you were careless. You went broke because you were poor.